Alright, everybody, welcome in. Today's matches are going to feature two of my buddies, two of the players that are out there streaming and providing content for you. In the blue here today is going to be jayxp123. And his opponent, also my friend, streamer Dutchy, playing on one of his alt accounts, the Architect. Couple imps pulled off already, but he's got an early vault. That's a vault opening, and the scout is trying to block the shrine. But I think Dutchy knows what he's going to do. Oh, the scout was on hold position, and I do like that. And now trying to chew off one of the imps, but there's two imps here. I think two imps definitely outmatch the scout. And the scout's just trying to say, can I block them? And it looks like here Dutchy is unconcerned with trying to get the shrine down, just wants to chase it away, and once it's safely away, puts the shrine down. Not worried about that. Meanwhile, the Hexen's in the main trying to get some bob damage. I don't think any bobs went down there. I don't see any bob parts scattered on the ground. It's pretty hard to kill a bob, but the Hexen is doing her best. The scout comes all the way back, takes one bite off her heels as she's doing the hokey pokey, and she turns herself around, and that's what it's all about. We're on to a third shrine here, and a second vault from Dutchy. And what do we got here from Jay? Jay's on a Rax. And what do we got? A Lancer popping out, another Lancer coming out. And this could either be early pressure or straight into creeping. My suspicion is based on where this pup is running, that Jay might be going for this health camp or straight into the base. The Lancer, here's the Lancer going right down the lane towards the base, and the dog's already in the base. Nothing out yet for Dutchy. We have two vaults on, but I do not see any brutes. There we go, double brutes pumped out. And Dutchy chases off the single Lancer and the scout for now. Another Lancer on the way. And is Jay going to continue to be aggressive with this? So actually he might be going for the... We might get a little encounter around the health camp. Since Dutchy feels like he's chased off these units. And here comes Jay. Is he going to go for the Hexen? Yeah, he goes straight for the Hexen. But Dutchy, wise enough, pulls back. Leaves only the Fiend back there tanking the creeps while he's trying to go for the Lancers and the Scout. The Hexen, unfortunately, now drawing the aggro of the creeps. And she, trying to get back to battle, turns and fights the creeps for a second there. And another Lancer shows up. Dutchy retreats all the way back to his base. A couple Gaunts joining him. Three Lancers, I don't think are a match for this force, and maybe Jay doesn't think that either since he's in retreat. He wants to get those free Fiends. I call them free because that's basically what they'll be if they engage those Lancers. But Dutchy has chased Jay back, and there are still 4 slimes here. So that was just delaying tactics from Jay almost, since it does delay the creeping from Dutchy, who is, as an Infernal player, more likely to be relying on that as part of the build. We already see Jay is 3 base or on 3 base, 3 more racks added. That's 5 racks total with the BK Lounge out. Quick draw hustle on the way. There is also a 3rd base here for Dutchy, and he's got Reapers. No, sorry, Plague Axes on the way. It's an interesting build style, and I think it's been part of the meta. At least I've seen it in a number of Dutchy's games, who I see a lot, as he's gone 2 vaults into a conclave, but his first upgrade is the ritual chamber for plague axes. And again, I think I've mentioned this in other casts, but you know, you really don't need that many gaunts to be applying Infest. You only need 1 technically to apply Infest onto a target, and once Infest has been applied, it lasts for, I think, 10 seconds. So you don't have a need to reapply it, and we don't usually see Infernal players microing your gaunts to apply infest on a bunch of targets. So you don't really just want one gaunt, kind of like a spellcaster, that you have to micro. But having a smaller number of gaunts, like 6 to 12, while you have a bunch of other units in there, the gaunts can kind of reliably get a little concave going, apply the infest to those units, and then you might still get that fiend production while you have maybe more DPS coming out of your other units. So I think that's become part of the style, and maybe is why we see this build. But here we have an engage right at the third base. Nice little defensive matrix here. The farm already out. The manifest shroud stone buys time for the other shroud stone to get up, or at least, yeah, now it is up. And Jay waiting for reinforcements, but choosing to maybe engage right into this matrix here. Picks off that forward shroud. A nice Nightfall infestation from Dutchy there, catching some of those units. And the Mag wants to get on top of the Lancers, but there's just more and more Exos being pulled in here, and Dutchy pulls back. Not wanting to get kited for days and wanting to fight on his Shroud, where his units are going to get that Shroud Skin regen, which will counteract the DPS and keep them alive a little longer. Farm gets taken out, Shroud Stone gets taken out, and now these units are just trying to pick off anything they can. A Brute goes down. Gaunts on the front line, you don't like to see that, but it's kind of hard in this kind of engage, as all these units, these Exos are great against these units, these Brutes and these Mags, pick them off easily, and what that means is they get deleted quickly, and soon it's just all you have left are your Gaunts, and that's what we're seeing here. Another Mag on the way. Is it a hero Mag? I do not think so. These Exos will take it out, and that is GG from Dutchy. Aha, but we are back in it, or... we have a rematch between these two. That's right. This is jayxp123 once again in the blue Vanguard. And his opponent, the Architect, Dutchy, playing the red Infernal. And this time we're on Lost Hope. So we may get a slightly different play out here. Last time we were on the Secluded Grove, which is a smaller map. And we see that Dutchy's opening with his first buildings. That's a vault and a very early farm out on the ramp. And we know that that farm there is intended to be a defensive farm. It's not for supply. I mean, it obviously helps. But it's placed there very early to generate fell hogs, so that when an eventual push arrives, even an early, maybe one Lancer push, there will be Fellhogs to defend. Right now, the Scouts harassing that Hexen, but both players doing a good job to micro their units. And going for the cabbage, but the cabbage is gone! We didn't see it, but that's a Dutchy play. We already see two Fellhogs out there chasing the dog away. Yeah, Dutchy does like to clear out the cabbages on his side of the map, especially in this matchup. And well, I think particularly in this matchup. He probably isn't doing it in the other matchups. And that's just to force that dog to run further away to get the heal, which denies scouting and is less annoying since the dog won't be harassing as much. Look at that, 3 Fellhogs, a couple of shots get off. The dog comes in, sees that Dutchy's still at home. This dog, it keeps running over to the health because he's hoping to harass the health camp while it's being creeped, but Dutchy is not allowing that and is just staying at home, soaking up that white health instead. And we saw a Lancer come to the front, and the Lancer engaged the Fellhogs. There's already another vault there to make this almost a full wall. And yeah, this is exactly why that early farm is there. Those Fellhogs themselves are going to clog this little hole, and if not, a Brute can fit his thick body in there and plug it up. So Jay's first hope of getting a little bit of damage done with that early push is thwarted by good SimCity and good strategy from Dutchy not to clear this. Look at this. He can still clear the camp. He just waits till he has 3 brutes. That allows him to keep his brutes at higher health. Lets them soak up the healing juices a bit. And preserves his units. He's not losing his Hexen to the dog harass. He's not losing some creeps to the dog harass. He's not losing fiends to the dog harass. He's just slow and steady wins the race. And he's just right back in the base. He's not even... I would maybe go for this camp. Not saying I know what I'm doing. I think what Dutchy's doing here is he knows that in the early Vanguard, you can be vulnerable to Lancers out on the map. We do see him moving out here. There's a Bob there, but look, there's already a scout farm, and the Fellhog is like, chompy chomp, I'll eat a Bob. But what that means is that back door is open. The farm is there to scout when units might show up there, but there's also a fiend there now to scout. Just good positioning from Dutchy. And that's just experience of playing on Lost Hope for many, many months now. One of the original early access maps. Not one of the first. I think maybe I didn't play far enough in the beta, but I know Broken Crown I think is the oldest map. And Lost Hope is a love it or hate it kind of map. I'm an Infernal player, which means I shouldn't really like it, but I kind of do like it. I just like its shape. I also like all the Therium in the middle, even though I rarely can secure a position out there and mine it. You know, I think it's a fun idea. Fun. And so, you know, shout out to map makers and Frost Giant. Keep putting fun stuff in. We don't need to immediately get to, you know, SE2 levels of every map is exactly the same. I'd like some variety. And it looks like Jay might be heading out to do a push. He did chop down these trees, remember? Now we have this Soulforge Ascendants on the way. That's the Brute upgrade that gives them additional armor. As well as making their fiend split into an additional fiend, which is super cool. But that research takes 2 minutes, which needs a nerf, frankly, in my mind. Like, I don't get it. Like, Soulforge Ascendance rush is not gonna beat anyone at the moment that I'm aware of. And it would sure be fun to have some kind of build called the Soulforge Ascendance Rush. It takes 2 minutes, so I've just been spending 2 minutes talking about that it takes 2 minutes so that we could kill some time for it to finish. And it's almost finished. And if Dutchy is strategic here, he's going to wait for it to finish before engaging with these brutes. He pulls out, okay, it just finishes. Now he's going to get in. He's also got the Maesma down, which maybe he was waiting for as well. I didn't see that. But Jay doing a good job of his stutter step, but the Miasma still landing some infests on those front units, and it's just a train of Miasmas. Very good. A few of those Exos popping now, and Fiends showing up, but the Exos do make short work of them. But those brutes are just relentless. They're just pushing forward. They were on move command, it looked like, because they just want to get on top of the units. They're oh, very nice. The Hexens aggro the creeps on the way through. It's now the Exos trying to pick off Hexen. There's a single mine there. You might get baited into it. But it's Miasma's back and the Manifest Shroud's down. Popping some Exos. They're all very weak. And yeah, they have to retreat back there. Although they choose to fight into this, I think they're super weak. There's only one medtech here. We need more med techs to keep these units alive or just retreat back. Look at how well these Miasmas are doing. There's just so many Hexen, and this is Dutchy. He's been playing on the account Miasma Abuser. He knows how to use that. He's been practicing that all patch long. He waits for you to micro into that spot and then just pops another one. That just great job. He's basically holding off these Exos with pure Hexen. I mean, that's kind of a ridiculous to say. Oh, and that is a bad micro. You don't want to move up the ramp from the miasma. That means you have to move through it again on your way down. And these units should be retreating. It's one thing about Jay is he's got this really great control, but sometimes I think he tries to just win the game with the control alone, where he needs to pull back and just rely on his macro for a second. He's also got really good macro. It's when you're outmatched like this, Nightfall in behind it. Do you see how he did that? Miasma with the Nightfall immediately behind, so as these units are pulling out, they get caught in the slope. Dutchy pushes him all the way back. Huge, you know, couple minute engage there. Back and forth. What are these fiends? Fiends that just haven't been picked up, I guess. Is he going to take out this camp? Seems like a good choice. Yeah. Goes for it. He's going to take this out. Let's see what's going on. We got another base going down over here. There was a fiend there, so I imagine Dutchy has an idea that this base is going down. But these units are pushing back again. Some Hellborn caught out of position. Huge system shock. Look at these bye-bye Hellbees. Oh no. They're so tanky though. I mean, there's not as many exos here as there could be. System shock to retreat. Although pushing through the woods, I don't know if I like that. A lot of Lancers. Lancers are melee, so the woods provide surface area defense. Make it harder for them to get through and get on top of the units. Oh! One Lancer dying to the infest. And now the medtech's giving them those healing juices. Forward trying gonna get taken out or cancelled. I think it cancelled. I heard the death cry of the imp. And the little gap there being widened by Dutchy, making it easier for his little death ball of Hexens to push through. Hexen Hellborn Magmadon. Brute. I like this comp. This is the kind of Infernal that I like to see. You want to walk through this gap, then soak up the miasma. We got Atlas. Oh. And the Atlases are here to widen the gap even further. There's nice SimCity here. Forward farms. Lots of towers. You aren't getting in here without the siege. Oh, and there's Molten Touch. Look at all those exos there. Oh no! The miasma, of course, tanks being immobile. There's a nice shield bubble, but all those bio are so low. Another tank on the low ground. But yeah, packing it up indeed. Packing it up and heading out. This is not a great place to push from. The medtechs, I don't know why they're just sitting there. So moving back to the center, maybe trying to make a static D position here with the tanks. But the miasma makes it hard to hold any position. Anytime you siege up, you're basically just asking for a miasma to be cast on you. So he sieges up at the back end of the vision tower. And Dutchy once again going for that Therium. The Exo's pushing out. Getting hit with a couple Molten Touch. Ooh, another good Molten Touch. That's what I mean about microing your Hellborn. Try and get the Hellborn to attack the front of the Bio Army. You get the maximum damage out of them. You want to see those fireballs splashing on a ton of Bio. Like that. That's the kind of fireball blast you like to see. It's almost only medtechs left. Nice little system shock to regroup with the rest of this bio. Another Atlas here doing their best, but so many fiends. Bye-bye. That's like lings on a tank. And now we have push right up into the ramp here. This is looking dangerous for Jay. And Dutchy here, like, doing damage to production. I mean, these are kind of a wall of barracks. That's not exactly all the production that Jay has. He certainly has lots more racks that he can produce from. Nice shield bubble on the tank, making it invincible there for basically 10 seconds. It's shooting back into its base. It's shooting it. Yeah, that was a huge misclick there. Killing its own barracks. And we've got Miasma on the ramp. We have Hellborns attacking from the low ground onto these depots. And it's brute force now saying, fine, we're moving right up the ramp. All of these defensive units basically have to stand inside the Miasma to defend. There is a nice tank in the far back doing some good damage. It's a lot of Hellborn, but I think pushing up the ramp has been costly here. Now we get Shroud Fall on the whole map. That's usually an end game kind of maneuver. But actually, Dutchy's pulling back. And I think that's because, you know, fighting up there into the Atlases and the Exos was kind of a meat grinder. I think it would be wise to, excuse me, for Dutchy to not knock down these back trees here and go for bases like this. That's got to be a visual bug here. Why is there still Shroud up here? Yeah, I think that's a bug, but visual bug, I'm sure. Like the Shroud isn't really there. Maybe it is. All these units have full Shroud skin, so it's hard to tell. So a small little attack force finds this base. And like I said earlier, I think there's a Fiend over here, so I think Dutchy has had knowledge of this base for a while. Of course, there is another base here, there is another base here, so part of the reason why Jay didn't GG out when all those units were on his front was that wasn't all he had. He had the eco, and we saw that from that eco he was able to push back. And, you know, if anything, it's from that eco that Jay might be able to eco wind out of this. He is still about 50 supply behind, and he's about to lose this base. So that base goes down. And wisely looking for another base over here, but there isn't one. You need to check that back corner. And you would see miners. But Dutchy now, Dragon in the forefront, going straight in here. Attacking into the Atlases. Shield bubble on that forward Atlas. I really love how Practice Jay has this with, you know, oh, you're going to go on that Atlas, well, I'll shield bubble it up. So many of Dutchy's units were caught in the aggro on that Atlas instead of being microed forward. And look at this, more bases for Jay. So this is also Jay's style, not counting himself out until he's really out. You know, just make more bases, get more macro. A lot of mags going down there. And yeah, I don't know if attacking into this, again, it's a kind of a meat grinder, huge sort of Atlas concave. See how far apart they are? Part of that is to avoid the miasmas. Could be slightly better, but you're not going to have all four of your Atlases under one miasma. And again, just a slight repositioning to have a nice little concave while keeping them far enough apart to not get caught in that AoE. Dragon harass. And yeah, the dragon does a lot of damage, plus the infest breath means that you're going to see a lot of fiends popping out quickly here. It's kind of snowballs. Exos show up, but look how many fiends. There's like 10 or 12 fiends. Of course, fiends do just get deleted by Exos, so I mean by pretty much anything. The Bobs probably could have turned to fight. It's the dragon and the Spriggan that's really doing the damage here, and once again, a lot of Bobs go down, so it's eco harass. Meanwhile, okay, This is huge. Catching a lot of those units as part of a parade, although that did give Jay a little bit of a concave here. His tank positioning's not the best, and they're going to be going down to miasmas. But his Bioforce comes and chases back. The Dragon and the Spriggan are like, alright, fine, we're out of here. A ton of Hellborn here. Couple good splashes there. Maybe with the miasma, this could be really good. Oh, we keep watching the Hellborn wind up. I really hate that they have this really long attack animation. Makes them, you know, anti-micro. And okay, so despite that, despite me balance whining about Hellborn, they had no problem cleaning that up. And oh, some Harbingers to bring more Shroud. And this push is looking like it might be the final one, as we have over 100 supply lead, and it's looking like a very meager Bioforce left. They're doing what they can to clean up Fiends, but it's Hellborn in the back doing the damage. And with that Dragon, that just means extra Fiends popping out. We see the survival protocol going down on most of these Exos, but that's just not enough. They get taken out. We got buildings on fire, and it's actually caution from Dutchy. He remembers attacking up into the meat grinder before, but it's not really a meat grinder anymore. There's nothing. There's 5 Exos. 6. There was the Atlases, I think, that were really hurting before. Oh, and the Dragon and the Spriggan are like, well, fine. We know your economy over there is busted, is gone, so we'll just take out the rest. And that's going to be a GG from JXP.